Hi everybody and welcome back. So in today's video, I'm gonna give you my very special secret sauce to making sure that you have a safe back for life. Now, you guys, sometimes I'm very hesitant to give this to people who have back injuries because they oftentimes feel like they're not going to be able to do it. And what is it? It's a back bend. It's a very easy and basic back bend. And so we're gonna just work with you today in this video to help you get to the place where you're going to feel like you can do this. Okay, oftentimes people are a little scared because if they have any sort of back issues, they're actually very hesitant to do any back bends. And the reason being is because if there's any sort of pain, the last thing that we want to do is add more pain to it. And the thing is, when we're doing any sort of back bending, it is actually good for the spine. Okay, it's the gravity that is helping us to slouch that is not doing any justice for our spine at all. So just like when we are walking or when we're doing any sort of weight-bearing exercises, we're adding weight to our frame, which adds weight to our bones, our bony structure, which actually helps to strengthen our bone density. So the exact same thing is happening for our spine when we do these little basic back bends. So whenever I have clients come to me in my classes at my yoga studio and they say that they're having any sort of back issues, my first question is, what'd you do? And where does it hurt? Now, if you have a slipped disc, a herniated disc, or anything like that, chances are you're not even going to be able to be doing much movement at all anyways. Now, if you're cleared for movement and you can move fairly easy in your body with maybe just a little bit of restrictive mobility, then I want to invite you to give this a try because this is one of the things that you can do that will actually help you to feel better, okay? Now, when I have clients come to me and they've been maybe working in the garden all weekend, or they slept wrong and they tweaked their back, or they reached down and all of a sudden they feel like they threw their back out. What I often do is I put them through this sequence called the Superman series. And I started doing this early on in my career when I started having sort of back issues just from actually the one time I reached over when I was doing laundry and I just tweaked my back a little bit. And what I learned in my teacher training was this easy little back sequence that literally will pop your vertebra back into place and help you to feel more in alignment again. And so sometimes it's really just a little tiny pull of a muscle and it's just making us feel like we have something out of place, and sometimes it's simply a muscle itself. It is inflamed and it's pulling the spine out of its alignment a little bit, and what we need to do is make sure that the spine is right in place in the way that it needs to be. And this is the sequence that does that, okay? So what I'm gonna have you do to begin with is just a very small, quick chest opening. And what is really important is that you do the sequence from yesterday, the hip opening sequence. So if we're gonna be tacking this on today, what I want you to do is go through that video from yesterday, and then we're gonna add this on to the tail end of it so that we can do both. Now, here's the thing. You gotta make sure that before you do this, you are open on the front side of your body. So you can never just come in and start doing back bends. You can't do it. It's not healthy for you. You need to open the front of the hips and you need to open the chest before you start taking your body in the opposite direction of what it's normally used to going into, which is this, slouching, okay? So before you do any back bending, ever, you always want to make sure that you're opening up the hips and you're opening up the chest so that you can prepare the body for what you're about to do. Okay, so yesterday's video is your prerequisite for today's. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with a basic chest opener. So I would like for you to take your hands behind your back and interlace your hands together. We're simply just gonna straighten the arms and tuck the chin and just get a nice stretch of the chest. Go ahead and breathe into this, tuck your chin, and keep trying to extend through the top of your head. We're going to breathe here for about 30 seconds to a minute. And usually that's about 5 to 10 breaths. Okay, we're going to go ahead and release. We're going to shake it out, and we're going to come onto our belly. So go ahead and come all the way down, all the way onto your belly. And I'd like for you to keep your toes together. Keep your inner thighs together. And we're going to reach our arms right out in front of us. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to start off with just lifting the right leg. Point the toes and lift the foot off the floor. What this is doing is keeping this right hip bone on the floor. And also, we're strengthening the glute muscles of this right side. Point the toes, keep the toes lifting and pointing, and keep that glute active. Keep your front arms down, and keep both of those hip bones grounded. Go ahead and release that leg down, and make sure to take a big breath in and out. Okay, we're going to switch over to the other side. Point the toes of the left leg and lift that leg off the floor. Breathe. Keep the foot pointing and the glutes activated. Now this is also working the muscles of your low back. This is creating some compression in the low spine as well, which is really good for the low back muscles. Okay, go ahead and release. Take a big breath in and out. Now, we're going to add on to that. Now, this is where our Superman series comes into play. We're going to, once again, lift the right leg, and we're going to extend out through the left arm. So, inhale, point the toes of the right foot, lift it up, and then extend out through the left arm. I want you to feel as if you are reaching and extending as far as you can, almost as if somebody is trying to lengthen you and make you taller by grabbing your left hand, and your right toes are really trying to reach as far away from you as you can. Okay, go ahead and relax, release down. Take a big breath in and out. Okay, point the toes of the left foot, lift the left leg off the ground, and we're going to extend up and out through the right arm. Pointing the toes, pointing the fingers, thumb points up towards the ceiling. Keep your chin tucked and reach through the top of your head. All right, and go ahead and release down. Now, take another big breath in. And we're going to finish this off with what is called Locust Pose. This is still part of the Superman series. So the arms go back, inner thighs come together, and I want you just to lift up. Point the toes, lift your chest off the ground, keep the rib cage on the ground, and just lift up. This is called Locust Pose. And sometimes in my class, I'll actually just have my clients keep their arms out in front of them. Keep the inner thighs together, lift up, and extend out. This is a really, really wonderful pose. It strengthens everything in the back side of the body. Go ahead and release down. Take a big breath in and out. Now, what we're going to do is finish off the entire series with our counter pose. And what I would like for you to do is bring your hands underneath your shoulders, press up to your knees, walk your knees in a little bit, bring your knees wide to the edges of the mat, bring your toes together, and we're going to bring the sit bones down towards your heels. We're going to extend and walk the arms out in front of us as we take our forehead down to the mat. This is your counter pose. This is your pose to help you elongate the entire spine. Create some space in between each and every one of the vertebrae of your back. And just extend and stretch, creating space and strength in the spine. Good, okay. And so what I would like for you guys to do today is practice the entire series of poses. So what that means is you started off with 3 rounds of navel to spine and then move, and you're going to continue that because you guys, that is so critical. That is the one foundational movement that needs to remain with you throughout the remainder of your life. No matter what activities you're doing, that navel to spine movement is going to help to strengthen and keep your low back safe. So we're gonna always be doing that. So today I'd like for you to practice that. 3 rounds at 15 repetitions each time you do it. Okay, now at the end of the day, you're going to add in the hip opening sequence and then the back bending sequence. And all you're going to do is you're going to do this back bending sequence for about maybe 2 to 5 minutes. It doesn't need to be much more than that, but this is a very, very critical move for you to do to begin to strengthen the spine and also to strengthen all of the muscles in the back of the body as well, from your glutes to those low back erector spinae muscles, to your lats, to your shoulders, and everything on the entire back side of your body. Because as those muscles are strengthened as well, you're going to have much more of a strong stature and a strong posture. So my core 5 moves are here to help you feel better, move easier in your body, and really, truly, you guys, protect your spine. You know, when I was younger and I couldn't walk, that basic navel to spine movement was the #1 thing that I learned to help me build a strong core. Now, here's the thing. As I got older and I started doing exercises and lifting weights and working out and doing yoga and running, I realized that there was more that was needed. You know, when I first started my yoga studio, I understood the basic movements from the navel to the spine to really keeping a strong core, but I didn't quite understand fully the importance of doing back bends because I too used to be afraid of them. And it wasn't until I started to do the hip opening and the back bending along with this core strengthening that everything started to really get wrapped up and feel so strong and so powerful. And once I put all of this together, I realized that this was something that was massively needed in the world today because people are not taught this. You may be taught that you need a strong core, but how often are you taught that you also need to go do some back bending and to strengthen the spine and strengthen the glutes and the back muscles? Probably not much. So all of these things go together. And you need the strong core to really have a nice stable core here to support your back. But if you sit all day, and this is where I learned it, is here teaching, because people would come in and they would have all sorts of back issues. So I would ask them, what do you do for a living? And they would tell me, oh, I drive, or I'm a teacher, or I sit at a computer all day. And so therefore I was able to go, okay, well, they need some hip opening. And then it wasn't enough. And so they were still, clients were like, I kind of have some back pain. So I'm thinking, if they're sitting all day, they need not only to open here, but they need to strengthen that. So I started to tack this on, the back bending sequence, and my clients started to get a really strong core. They started to get really tight glutes, and everything from this whole middle torso section started to tighten up and tone up, and they started to feel better, move easier. So I knew that I was onto something, and I knew that I had to share this with you. So you guys, this core sequence and this back bending sequence is critical for you to really just begin to make a part of your daily life. And then that way, you're gonna feel amazing. You're gonna start to really to develop some strength in your core and also in the ease of movement in your torso and your back. All right, you guys, so that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in today to this video. And once again, make sure that you do the navel to spine movements today, do the hip opening, and do the back bending. I am also going to add a very special link to a separate video that I've made just to lead you, just to guide you. And you can just click play and follow along with that back bending sequence. And then also I want to hear from you. So let me know what you learned. Let me also know how this helped you today. And if you are so inclined, I would love to just hear about your journey. And I want to know how this has helped you, what you've learned, what kind of strength you have gained, and anything else that you'd like to share with me. Okay, you guys? So thank you so much for tuning in today, and I will see you in the next video.